Back again. Hello, everyone. It's another episode of I'm Just Playin, and we've got the High Priest of the Sistine Chapel. This name is really going to stick, by the way, Sid.
Oh, for God's sake.
It's sticking. I love it. And I literally came up with that just straight off the top of my head. But you know what? God bless Game of Thrones and giving me the added inspiration to give you that nickname. That's sticking. You're just going to have to deal with it. Yes, Sid is here and I'm Joseph. I'll have a cool nickname like High Priest of the Sistine Chapel because I don't have a church, but Sid does. And it's really cool, actually. You should definitely go check it out.
I need to actually fix it. It's been under maintenance for about 2 years.
Okay, so don't go in the church. You might die. So basically, we're back again for another episode. Thanks to everybody who came out. Basically listened to the first episode. Really enjoyed some of your feedback. Glad that you got a kick out of the very funny analogy that Sid made. Which serves perfectly as the title of the pilot episode. So I mean, it's like, you know, when these things happen, you just got to go with it, and it took off very well. So we're glad that you guys are super tickled by it because it was funny to me. That's all I know. Yeah, it was hilarious.
I mean, that was really humbling. You know, we have like 43 plays. I know it's not a lot in terms of the big internet, but considering that I am terrible at self-promotion and just like sharing things, right? I have this bad habit of just making stuff, just leaving it there. If someone sees it, good on you. Yeah. But, you know, and it's like great, but that's why I have you doing all the social media because I am so bad at it.
I mean, I'm not necessarily particularly good at it either. I just use it. So
yeah, exactly.
You know.
Whereas I don't anymore.
Yeah. I don't.
And yeah, but the fact that we had people actually listen to an hour and a half of us talking about video games.
Yeah.
Like in the grand scheme of things, we're talking about video games. This is first world problems at the highest of, you know, the pyramid.
Of course, depending on who you ask, some people act like, you know, being asked to include a boob slider in a game is just too much. It's just too much. Oh boy. It's just too much to ask. Like, Jesus Christ. Because God forbid women play video games. So yeah, I mean, thanks. We don't even know what this episode is going to be called. We'll probably figure that out at the end. But we're going to get straight into it. So you know how it runs already. 5 great segments, and we start off with the first one. Sid, what have you been playing this week?
So this week has been a very strange week. Okay, so now No Man's Sky being the game that it was, I stopped playing after I think it was 14 hours because I was done by that point.
Right.
Fine, whatever.
Sure.
I got to the center of the galaxy, and for anyone playing, have you finished it? Have you got to the center of the galaxy yet?
No.
Oh man, I really want to spoil it, but fuck it.
No. I mean, as I say, whatever. There's been a lot of talk about what happens afterwards, and I've just looked at everybody as if to say, okay, guys, I get it, but you do realize that I'm going to the whole proposition of the game is to discover this for yourself.
yeah.
Like,
yeah.
So we can talk about it later. I'll talk about it with people later. But no, cool. So you got to the center of the universe.
Yeah. So that was much earlier. But so I was like, oh, you know what? I'd like space. So I played Space Engineers. I played some more Space Engineers, and they made some updates, which were cool. And I ended up building the Batmobile on a planet.
You built?
So I built my version of the Batmobile.
This I got.
So I was on the planet, and for anyone who's played Space Engineers, it is ridiculously hard to get off the fucking planet. It is like it actually requires some engineering. So I managed to build a Batmobile that drives along at 360 kilometers an hour.
Oh my God.
And then if you take a slight incline, you end up going into space. And I was like, the thing is, when I'm playing with friends...
But you can't pilot it when it gets into space. It's just going to travel in a straight direction.
Oh, no. I put ion thrusters in it so that I can actually go in a straight line.
Now I definitely need to see this. We might actually have to... Okay, you know what? We might need to wrap the episode up early. So that we can go ahead and see this shit.
Like, when me and my friends are playing, we usually build these massive, like, orbital launchers filled with, like, thrusters that can only work in atmosphere.
Right.
And then take us out. And they always they crap on us. They, like, as soon as we get up to about, like, 10,000 meters into the air, they just explode. And then we're back on the planet. And we're like, okay, well, we've got to do this again. So, space engineers. And then I played a bit of EVE Online. I feel dirty for saying that out loud. But yeah, I played some EVE Online. Which, I don't know if it was fun or not.
What, EVE Online?
Yeah. Spreadsheet Simulator 2016.
Also known as Microsoft Excel.
Yeah.
So we've got... Okay. So I definitely want to see how you Kerbal Space programmed a Batmobile in Space Engineers. That I definitely want to see for myself because I can... it sounds hysterical.
It is amazing.
That is incredible. So, all right. That's great. Center of the Universe, Batmobiles in space, and spreadsheet simulators. So, yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So,
what have you been playing?
You know what? I've been playing some really good stuff. First of all, full disclosure, because you know how the kids get when you don't tell things about all of your life ever before it being completely unrelated to a video game that you're about to play or a review that you're about to do. So, Bundle Stars is really cool. Now, I used them like for the first time last year. And then afterwards, they had like a contest where you could, I think it was something Fallout 4 related. Because I was like, you know what? I'm not going to buy it at launch because I'm not liking all the stuff that I'm hearing about it. But I am going to enter this contest because it's Fallout 4 for free, bitch. And that's just the way I roll. You're just going to have to deal with that. I was one of the winners of that contest. And I did...
Serious?
Yes.
What?
Yeah. It came with...
I've never won anything in my life.
Mate, I seem to have...
Apart from the hearts of women.
Like, I seem to have a lot of luck where these, contests and shit are concerned, right? So
that's because you're a shill for Bundle Stars. I see you. I see right through you.
See? Now you're just giving the kids ammunition. I really don't appreciate that. Don't appreciate it.
Of course, they're not going to give you anything. You're black.
Of course, that's the other thing that we need to talk about as well, all right? I won this contest while black. Do you understand how rare that shit is in the gaming universe? I am now a statistical anomaly when it comes to the continued underrepresentation of black people in gaming. It's just one of these things that we need to talk about. Full satire mode aside, I did win that contest, but I continue to use the service. And I recently got a lovely bundle that they call the Killer Bundle. The Killer Bundle is the 8th one that they've ever done. And what struck me was a game called Poncho, because I remember being on my Wii U, hearing about it while I was just scanning through some stuff on my phone, right? And basically, I was like, I really want that game. And if it's included in a bundle of some other really sick-looking games, then I want that too. In that bundle are games like Dead Effect 2, Victor somebody or other Blue Estate, which is like a, I guess either a graphic novel or a webcomic. I don't know for certain. I actually haven't looked into the source material, but the game looked sick anyway. So there was that. There was a really, really interesting music game called Riff Racer. That actually, for my money, is the best game in the bundle. So Riff Racer is like a combination between Audio Surf and Wipeout, but without the futuristic stuff, and maybe toss in a bit of Asphalt.
Okay.
And the catch is you're playing and driving tracks generated based off of the music you select. So it's music from your music library. That's where the AudioSurf stuff comes in, because you can do that in AudioSurf and in AudioSurf 2. Two really good games. If you've never played them, stop, wasting time with your life and get on with it. So Riff Racer is awesome, very challenging, especially if you're using a keyboard. The drift system takes a bit of getting used to because it is pretty sensitive, especially when you use the directional pads. This might have more to do with the fact that I'm not using a mechanical keyboard, so I'm probably pressing harder than I need to. So I might need to remedy that. Still, I had a blast playing that. It's absolutely amazing, varied, and you get to play along with your favorite songs. I do like Blue Estate. Okay. Let me state for the record that the gameplay was not what I was expecting, because I haven't played a game of this type in ages. If you've ever played Time Crisis or House of the Dead at the arcade or at home, it's like that. You're first-person shooter, but you don't control your movements. It's that on rails. If you remember if you remember that.
I do miss the arcade.
I do miss the arcade-style shooter, and this was really refreshing to get it in. Love the way that you can rack up the combo system and all that sort of stuff. But the thing that kind of bothered me is how much of a cheap Tarantino ripoff Blue Estate is. And I say this to give you an idea of how cheap of a ripoff it is. Here's what we're dealing with. First of all, the moment that the game starts, when the menu appears, so too does a big old ass in your face.
Okay.
I mean...
Well, that's a way to start.
Yes. It's one of the characters. Her name is Cherry Lips. And you can kind of see where we're going with this. I rolled my eyes so hard I saw my cerebral cortex. I was just like, okay, guys, yeah. Tits and ass, great. I really hope that if you're doing it in a Tarantino style, that, this is something that you will continue to kind of make sure, in the vein of Tarantino style female characters, they're badass, right?
Yeah.
Right? No. Nope. God. Not even a little bit. And the protagonist is, or the one that plays the PA is, without giving too much away, because I do think people should play for the gameplay, but they might roll their eyes at how corny this is. So it's like, the guy that's the protagonist is this dweeb, a stereotypical nerd who is playing the PI, right? That Cherry Lips comes to.
Of course she does.
And I think the worst part is actually one of the main characters, who's a son of a drug lord, slumlord, and all that sort of stuff, right? And he is as racist as they come. He keeps referring to all of the so the baddies are triad inspired. I honestly can't tell if they've gone for the Japanese style triads or if they're Korean or whatever. But the main bad guy in the first chapter looks like a cheap ripoff of Kim Jong-il. The developers really
like such cancer.
Like, it is. I wish they could have and should have done better, because when I think about, in terms of just character development, definitely where Cherry Lips is concerned, she's as vapid as all get out. I really thought there was an opportunity for her to be a complete badass, yet she's really just an eye candy centerpiece, and that's really disappointing. She has a few quips where she makes you laugh, but she really is quite. There's no real nice way to put it. They've made her as dumb as a bag of bricks. Like, there's no nice way to put it. They really did and it's a shame. It's a letdown. It really does let it down. If it weren't for the action sequences, then I would completely write the game off. But I do think that just from a gameplay standpoint, it is worth your time if you can stomach the cheesiness and the corniness and the casual sexism and the casual racism. Yes, it's something that I would say it's worth your time and monies.
I mean, you say that, but like, that is a a lot of reasons to not recommend.
It really is.
There's a lot of reasons to not recommend.
I know. It's a lot to ask somebody, but yeah. So it's a very conflicting game. And it's one that, you know, everybody always, you know, there's a subsect of gamers that are just like, oh, why are you talking about that stuff? Why aren't you talking about the game? It's quite an easy answer. It's in the game, so we're talking about it. You know, it's really not. The mechanics I thought were really interesting. As I said,
the mechanics good?
I'm extremely reminded of Time Crisis. I'm extremely reminded of House of the Dead. Do you know what else actually that the game reminds me of? Have you ever played John Woo's Stranglehold?
Okay. Yes, that was. I mean, to me, that game. I mean, the memories of it is kind of.
Yes.
The whole
so there's
Max Payne.
There's a lot going on in
rip-off.
this game, right? So basically, obviously, if you're going to do like a gangland, Tarantino-esque. Who did the Bloody Departed? His name's on the tip of my tongue. Martin Scorsese. If you're doing that sort of stuff, then obviously you're going to get some seedy elements in there. Like The Departed was great, but it was racist as hell. Because it is obviously the film wasn't made for us.
But it's okay. It's between white people.
So you know you've got what else? Goodfellas, classic film. Again, the way Samuel L. Jackson gets done and the way that they behave.
No.
Obviously. And then you've got, you know, any Tarantino film ever. He's obsessed with the word nigger. Like, it's just unbelievable.
Mate, listen, right. This guy makes the most violent shit, throws as much of his foot fetish into every one of his films, right? And then he will go out of his way to just say nigger as much as he possibly can.
No, Quentin. We've already compromised so much at this point, and now, Jesus, like.
Well, I mean, I don't want to get into a long, lengthy discussion about Quentin Tarantino films on the podcast. Maybe if we start a film podcast, or just.
But that's the reason why. Sorry.
Maybe, but.
Yeah, but that's the reason why he's been mentioned is because as soon as you play this game, Sid, you'll be like, and you'll see exactly what I'm talking about, because there's that going on. But as I say, the mechanics themselves, yes, reminded me a bit of John Woo's Stranglehold, except the protagonist is not Asian himself, and there's that going on as well. There is another protagonist. It is a black guy. I haven't gotten to that bit. But we'll see how this ties in, and I'm sure there's going to be more delightful stuff waiting for me on the horizon. But from a mechanical standpoint, though, I really think that it was a nice, refreshing throwback. It was. House of the Dead comes up immediately in my mind because that was my favorite arcadey type shooter, especially when you went down to the video arcade and you got to hold the gun. So. With the mouse, I like the way that you have to like do swipe actions as opposed to just click, click, click. That's nice. It's fluid. It's great. You don't even need to really touch your keyboard at any point. You can completely navigate the game with the mouse, and I think it's fantastic. Definitely got a lot going for it, but as I mentioned earlier, it's got a lot that will put a fair few people off, and you can't really blame them for that because, as I say, it's the reason why we don't read certain stuff, don't watch certain stuff, and video games are in that, or listen to certain stuff, and video games in that same vein. It's probably the reason why nobody listens to this podcast because, you know, we're terrible people. So.
Yeah, I mean, of course.
And we've accepted it, obviously, but that's.
Yeah, I'm sure. Statistically speaking, there are at least 43 other people who are just as bad as us.
Correct. So, you know, they are now indeed complicit in their compromising of ethics and morals, and you know,
right. I mean, is it compromising their ethics if they are part of the same group? Maybe not. No.
But everybody always has that opportunity to get out of it. But yes, those are the three games that I've been getting into. Poncho being the last of them. Seriously, I've been playing a few platformers recently but this is absolutely the best one that I've played that isn't Inside. So here's what's going on in Poncho. Poncho takes inspiration from, I think, Fez. How Fez made a 2.5D or 2D game and threw it in a third dimension, right? Fez was amazing. It will remain one of my all-time favorite indie titles, but I think Poncho gives it a run for its money. And the reason why is because it goes even further with the open world aspect, but it stays flat in perspective, as opposed to going around and, being in more that kind of third dimension. It's third dimensional in a sense where you can go forward and back to different parts of the world.
Oh, okay.
It's seriously.
Now you're just going to make me spend more fucking money on fucking games that I'm never going to fucking play.
As soon as I said that, man's on it. And that's the draw. It is open world, as I say. You are playing as a poncho-looking thing. I still haven't got my head quite around the lore of it yet, but as I say, good decision. And I'm glad that it's in there. There are other titles in there, that's like a Castlevania-looking type title, also another platformer, definitely more classic. There's no third dimension business going on there. I can't remember the name of it just now, and yeah, there's a couple of other titles in there that look pretty interesting, which also I can't remember the names of. But those four were the ones that I mentioned, I think, are worth the £3 that it costs for this bundle. Seriously, £3. £3, 8 games. 4 of them you will absolutely love. 3 of them you will absolutely love. One of them...
we need to get sponsored by Bundle Stars now.
Well, you know what? Shout out to Bundle Stars, because, as I say, I'm fairly certain, like, when you buy things from Bundle Stars, you feel like you stole it, because that's how I feel.
When I got back into PC gaming and I discovered that there was things like bundles, Bundle Stars was one of them, and I got, I think, all of the Arkham games minus Arkham Knight because it hadn't come out at the time. Mm-hmm. I got them for like £3.50 each.
Yeah, you see what it is with it. Like Shadows of Mordor, for a while they were selling that for like £7 with all the DLC included. I was thinking to myself, you know what? That's a lot of quality for a lot less money. Absolutely. So yes, indeed, shout out to Bundle Stars. That bundle.
They have some amazing deal with. They've got like the best like resale program with WB Games. Yes. Like I don't know how they do that. I got all the Lego games for like £3.74.
Do you see what I'm dealing with? Like it's so
each, by the way, guys.
It's so good. Like really, it brings back the days where you can get a bit more value for your money. Well, if you've been a PC gamer, Anyway, we won't get into that debate because we don't want to piss off the console kids. So yeah, those are what I've been playing this week.
Okay.
Well, take it.
You know what time it is now.
Take it or leave it. Yeah. Yes, I do know what time it is.
It's time for some good times. And time for some bad times.
Yeah, good times, bad times. Fun segment.
Do we start with the good or the bad?
You know what? Let's give the kids the bad news first, and then we'll bring it home with the good. I think. So we'll alternate. What was one of the bad things that you saw this week?
This literally happened like 14 hours ago. Alright. I mean, it's not bad, but it's bad.
Alright.
Like, for me personally. Okay, so, you know how you just upgraded your Virgin Media to did you get Vivid 100 or 200?
I got the 200.
Okay, so that's the top tier package. I'm about to upgrade mine to Vivid 200. I'm on like 70 or something. Alright. Virgin Media just sent out a press release. Alright. And I know it's a press release because everywhere, and we're talking like ispreview.co.uk and Eurogamer and everywhere, have just put out saying UK internet provider Virgin Media has announced that what it says is the first fiber broadband tier created for online gamers, where if you are on the Vivid 200 and you pay an extra £5, you can have the 20 meg upload speed rather than the standard 12, which is targeted specifically for Twitch streamers and YouTubers.
Of course.
And I'm sitting there like, I see what you're doing. You listened to me whining on the phone for 2 fucking hours, and now you want to charge me an extra £5. No, I'm not playing this game. Not playing this game, mate. Don't do it.
I could kind of see where you're going with it, and yes, Although I'm pretty sure that there are going to be people who want to use that upload speed for non-gaming purposes, such as they're making their YouTube videos and whatnot, and
Oh yeah, but I mean, they're literally calling it boss mode level package.
A boss mode. Yeah, they're going after the gamer demographic, I think.
Oh, because I mean, like their current upload speeds are perfectly fine, right? Like my current upload speed is like 5 meg up. Megabits up.
Do you know what?
Which is not bad, but they do that disgusting throttling thing.
Yes. Well, because they want to make sure. Here's my theory on that. I'm not sure how well founded this is, but I have a theory. I think the reason why they keep upload speeds low is because they want to try and discourage people from sharing shit. So whether you're torrenting and you're seeding, yeah, or whether you're still stuck in the middle of the fucking noughties and you're using LimeWire and all that malware infested shit.
Good time.
It was great but it had a season. Like, if you,
I mean, like back then, yeah, I understand why you would want to limit the upload speed, but there was really no limit to the upload speed back then.
No.
Apart from, but now, who really torrents anymore? Let's face it. I mean,
who's even
everything's just there. Maybe I'm just old now. I think that's what it is. I just, you know what? Here you go.
Somebody is streaming it. Like, someone is streaming it now.
Yeah.
Do you understand? If you're still, jumping on the Pirate Bay and all that sort of stuff, I really don't know what you're doing with your life. I feel like...
I mean, don't get it twisted. I do go on there sometimes. Don't get it twisted. There are times when I have had to go. All right.
But
look, I'm gonna keep it real. You have to keep it real.
Yeah, you do.
There are some times where you have to. There are just some releases from that just don't come out on Netflix or Amazon Prime or all the other fucking things I'm subscribed to. I'm like, fucking what? I just want this 1 hour and a half of my time to be well spent.
Well, okay? I mean, don't get me wrong. I get the whole political ramifications of it all because we are living in for God's sake. We're doing this in real time and we're not even in the same room. That's how the internet and the advent of it has been shattered to the point where regions truly do not matter, but companies are so obsessed with regional exclusives. And there's only one real justification for that. And that is because they don't think that whatever they've made in a certain region will be financially viable and see a return on investment in another. And I completely understand that.
Anything.
But it doesn't cost anything to digitally host it. Not that much. If you're making something physical, I get it. But if you give them an option to download it, I really don't understand it. I know that there's a cost involved to host things on PlayStation Network. I remember there was a big kerfuffle about that when they first announced those prices, because I believe before that, it wasn't that expensive, if there was a cost associated with it at all. I do think...
There was no cost. There wasn't any cost.
Yeah, that's how I remember it anyway. So, but then when they announced that they were gonna, charge to host, and they were doing it I think it was by the gig or something like that, there was a bit of grumbling about that. I think Microsoft charges you to host things on Xbox Live. Pretty sure they do, but
can't remember.
But I can't remember.
But I mean, all of the politics aside, I'm just a little salty that they're going to charge me. I'm already ready to pay the extra $16.25 every month on my ridiculously large package as it is. That came out wrong. Sorry. Phrasing. Yeah. I'm more than happy to pay the extra £16.25, but now they want to charge me an extra $5 just for the extra, the extra upload. I'm saying it's just like, I really want it. I've been wanting it for a while. So yeah, that's my bad news of the day. Well, that's my bad times.
You know what? I will give it to you. I'll give it to you that yes, timing's awful, and considering all of the grief that I've known you to experience, yes, this is definitely comes as a bit of a slap in the face, I think. My bad news this week is not necessarily news in a sense where something happened in the industry. Not in your traditional sense where you might see it on the VG 24/7 or something to that effect, right?
Okay.
But before we convened to do this episode, I was, flicking through my timeline on Twitter as you do, because I'm a glutton for punishment, and
of course,
I saw that somebody who I follow, who's really funny and is also a gamer. His name is 9volt. Shout out to 9volt because I think he's one of the best people that you can follow on Twitter. He's so good. He posted a YouTube video that somebody had uploaded because somebody thought it was a good idea to make Dead or Alive Extreme 3 VR compatible.
What? I'm gonna go buy myself a VR headset.
You're kidding me.
Mate, listen. There are a few novelties.
Oh no, don't you dare.
Wait. I'll let you have it as your bad news, right? But there are very few novelties in life.
I haven't even.
It was a matter of time, right? Where democracy, and remember, this is a democracy.
We're going down that route. Okay, go ahead.
Listen,
continue.
Right. Anything and everything is up for grabs.
All right.
The only thing that you do wrong is you get caught. Okay. That is my philosophy of life.
Sid, you're playing.
Do whatever the hell you damn well please. All right. But yeah, I mean, the thing is, I can't even use a VR headset. I'm blind in one eye, so it's kind of useless to me.
It's not a good look.
But if I had two eyes, come on.
No,
you wouldn't. Obviously, I'm not gonna go out everywhere and tell everyone. You know what?
Sid,
I'm gonna go play some Dead or Alive 3, beach volleyball or whatever the fuck it is.
Sid, this is
in VR.
Sid, first of all, I get where you were going with this, but unfortunately, the whole just don't get caught thing doesn't really apply when you have a big fucking VR headset on your face. And based on the footage that I've seen,
yeah, you
had a grown man motorboating a digital model in Dead or Alive 3 Extreme.
You know what I say to that?
Digital.
Welcome to the future. Welcome to the future.
Digital motorboating. When the camera cut away to the guy who was actually rubbing his face in these pixelated tits, right? Then cut back, and then you saw him now going down towards the model's ass, and then you cut back to him, and he's rubbing his face in this. Listen to me, like
I'm listening.
Understand, we have reached an entirely new low where this is concerned. It's bad enough that you got to play with the boob physics and turn them into what can only be described as asteroids wrapped in a bikini. That's all I can really say.
Yeah.
It was completely ridiculous.
You say ridiculous, I say this is the future.
Oh my god, stop
Listen,
it. This is so...
I'm going to summarize what the future's going to look like. The future's going to look like this, right? You ever watch Minority Report?
Yes, I've watched Minority Report.
Okay, so you know that scene where he goes through the club and there's the VR rooms and they're having like virtual sex and shit?
Right.
Yeah, we're talking about like hypersensory deprivation, like you're plugged into something, you're going to have all the senses, everything that you want, and nothing's going to be illegal. You can do whatever you want in your mind. No one gets hurt. You don't have to get involved with anyone else. It's all good. Dreams will come true.
Well, pervy dreams came true with this.
At the very beginning. We have much further to go. Like Joseph, this guy, we have so much more to do.
This guy wasn't. That's the other thing as well. It wasn't playing the game. He was at a menu screen.
What?
It looks like a menu screen anyway. I am like, my knowledge of Japanese characters are extremely rudimental, and while I appreciate the art of Japanese calligraphy to the point where I think it's one of the most beautiful forms of art you can produce with your hand, basically, and also a gorgeous way to communicate, because bloody hell, one character could mean quite literally a litany of words. But the thing about it is that from what I saw, it either looks like a warning screen of some sort, and the game doesn't waste any time. Like, remember when Dead or Alive introduced beach volleyball as a standalone? Do you remember that?
That is how you make money. That's capitalism.
Just look at you. You.
What do you want me to say? Listen, all right. There are 3 billion men on this planet, right?
Okay.
What, like 2, 3, 1 billion of them play video games? or have played video games.
Is it really that many? Is it really that many?
Like, I'm going to give a very, very rough estimate and say 60% of those 1 billion are heterosexual.
50%? This might...
Listen, I'm not going to rule anything out.
All right.
For all we know, and it's more than fair.
All right.
Okay?
Okay.
Right. And of those 50% who play video games and who are straight, they, I'm sure they must have heard of Dead or Alive. And you know what? If the selling point is boob physics, then why include the violence? Just have them play beach volleyball. I mean, listen, it serves one single purpose, all right? Their most primal instinct, and why not just make money off it? That's what. Look,
it is.
Sex sells. Sex sells.
It is, and I get it. The fact that it's sexy is not the issue. It's the fact that we already have that particular demographic that you're talking about. Vast majority are already completely inept when it comes to interacting with a woman. And now,
so instead of them harming themselves or other women, have them harm the Katsumino.
I wouldn't rule out the harm against themselves. This obviously is got to be something that we're going to have to defer to the slippery slope zone, because we kind of already I can't get behind it, dude. And the thing is, these are the same people that sneer at Japanese sex games, but they'll put on. Well, a lot of them are just like, oh no, I couldn't do those Japanese sex games, man. Those are weird. But they will watch a bit of hentai, and they will strap on a real-life VR headset and digitally motorboat a digital character in a bikini.
I mean, they're not gonna. It's not like they're gonna be able to do that to a real person. So.
Well, I would hope not.
I know I'm being really derogatory there.
I know.
I'm sure.
Look, I would hope that they wouldn't do that without her permission. If we go down the KSI route, you might find that that's not a good idea. So, you know, definitely wouldn't recommend anybody throw on a headset, then take said headset off, take yourself down to Eurogamer, and decide to just motorboat titties just because you can, for the clicks and the lulls and all that sort of stuff. Yeah, don't do that. But the whole point for me is that when I saw this, I was like, this was not necessarily an indictment on how much lower the bar has gone for gamers, but just humanity in general. Like, we've made VR, virtual reality, a thing that we dreamed about 20 years ago. It's real life now, and one of the first applications that we'll see for it is to motorboat some tits in a video game. It's not great. It's not a great indictment. I mean, it's not great. It is. Listen, it is definitely appealing to primal need, but I'm sure we can go beyond that.
The genius that comes up with the thing that will make VR what VR will be remembered for is probably working on it right now. But right now, we got to go through all the shit. We got to go through all the shit. Like, listen, right?
God,
I'm gonna tell you a little short story. All right. There was once a Titan. His name was Prometheus.
Oh hell, here we go.
Okay. Jesus. And Prometheus dishonored the gods, angered them. No. Why? Because he gave us technology, and that technology was fire. And when we had the fire, you know what we did first?
What did you do?
Fucking burn ourselves. That's fucking what we did.
Yeah, we
fucking
did.
Hurt ourselves. Burn. Probably the lowest point in human history, right? Fire. Little tiny fire, right? Arms burned. Someone must have probably lost a leg or something at some point. A few eyebrows gone, right? But you know what we did after that? We cooked meat. And look where we are today.
Sid!
Look where we are today, right?
Sid, was
Some
that
mistakes coming.
Sid, was that supposed to be the part where I was supposed to be like, oh, you know what? You're right.
Look, I know I'm not going to convince you straight away, but you gotta.
This is not the way. Nah. So obviously, bad times all round there.
Okay.
Depending on who you ask, like I'm sure there are plenty of little fuck nuggets ready.
I know it's fucking abysmal. the fact that we have to go. We're at this stage where we haven't fully developed virtual reality sex yet, so we have to just watch some guy motorboating.
Oh man, it was so bad.
That's abysmal. Okay.
So so bad.
It's abysmal. It's embarrassing.
Like,
and it shouldn't happen
had an opportunity to put. Like, when they said that they were not going to import Dead or Alive Extreme 3 to the West, people got up in arms about that, but conveniently forgot that the last couple that they ported over to the West did terrible numbers. Like, these are the same...
They were shit games.
Yeah, well, they did terrible because they were terrible games. And only a niche of people, but in both markets, I should say. But to be fairly honest with you, the numbers don't bloody well lie. But it's only it's niche to start with, and then they said they weren't going to ship it because they couldn't see it for the return on investment. How did they repackage this? Well, if you're talking about Play Asia and Direct to Drive, I think, also got involved in this nonsense. They turned around and said, "Oh well, it's too SJW in the West." I was like, really? This is your excuse for not selling something that you sold previously, even though it did terrible previously? Yeah, nice try. Don't go down that route. Don't play that card. The only reason why is because you finally realize how silly you looked playing a Dead or Alive game. Never mind what's in said Dead or Alive game. It's the fact that you still play Dead or Alive that's embarrassing. You have Street Fighter. You have a new Tekken coming out. You've got Pokken Tournament, and you're still playing Dead or Alive. Nah, mate. That's the reason why. That's the reason why. And also, yes, because
the age of Dead or Alive is over.
It's over.
It's done. You don't need it anymore. I mean, reboot it if you really want it.
If you
go a completely different direction.
If you really want it, go ahead and have it imported anyway. Because guess what? Chances are it's region free. Chances are the game is region free anyway. I'm pretty sure the PS4 is region free, isn't it?
I don't know. Don't care.
Well, I don't care either. But the point is like, you can import it if you really, really that desperate. There were so many titles that don't get moved over here from, places like Japan, China, and what have you, that no one else is complaining about. But the moment that you don't have a bit more tits and ass to go with the plethora of tits and ass that you've got to choose over already, you want to have a shit fit. I just don't really understand, really. But the main point is that you still play Dead or Alive. I don't care what anybody else says. If you're still playing Dead or Alive, I really don't know what you're doing with your life. The game is dead. It's done. Like, there's so many other great fighting games out here. For fuck's sake, like, Mortal Kombat X is a thing. And there's plenty of tits and ass to ogle over in that game if that's really your thing. If you're playing Mortal Kombat to ogle at tits and ass, again, I have questions. But there is enough there. And you know what else? Mortal Kombat X is a pretty good fighting game. Like, way better than Dead or Alive. You could have at least raised the bar that high, but no. You're dying on a hill for digital tits and ass. I don't know how much more pathetic you can possibly be. But do you? You have the freedom to be as pathetic as you want. And I have the freedom to call you a pathetic human being for being so pathetic. So that's where I'm leaving it with that bit of bad news. Because, god damn it, I just don't know how you're going to explain to anyone when you're in the living room, when they see you doing something with a headset on that you would usually do with a human being. It's going to be weird. We're going to need some time.
It's very weird.
We're going to need some time.
It's going to take a decade or two to adjust.
Anyway, good news.
Let's have some good news. So, this is good and bad, but it's good. It's good. Well, I mean, it's good and bad for me, but it's good news in general. All right, listen. All right. So, I bought 2 copies of No Man's Sky. One for one of my closest friends, and for myself. I got it from him as a birthday present back in May when he was hyped about it, and he was really hyped about it. So I said, "Cool, here you go, happy birthday, ta-da!" And then he played it, and he was like, "Oh shit." So the announcement came that No Man's Sky, you can return it, refunds, money back. You know what we did? We refunded it.
Did you?
Yeah, well, here's the thing. The good news is that his refund came through. Bad news is that they didn't accept mine, so...
Okay, so obviously, hold that thought, because I do think that this is perfect for what we're going to segue into. It's the slippery slope zone. So before we do that, though, because I know where you're going to go with this, and I'm really keen to discuss this a bit more, because there has been quite a lot of brouhaha where that's concerned, to say the very least.
I mean, I don't care. Like, I still got my money back. And on a completely technical basis, if they did update the game with like everything under the sun, or even just something cool and new, I can still play it because I still have it on my account. So
I think I've already come up with a great title for this episode. Terrible people, just terrible people.
Okay, tell us your good news.
I think the most interesting news, anyway, out of this week, it comes dual pronged. So I saw that the team out in Sweden who does the Division, they put out a PSA saying that they were putting together what's called an elite task force, and they wanted people who had played the game to basically come to their studio and help them focus on making improvements to the core mechanics of said game.
The name's a bit dramatic.
Well, it goes in line with the whole theme of what's going on. The Division Elite Task Force, I get it. It's all very nice and themey. But yes.
Yeah, still, a little overdramatic.
Little cliche. So,
come on. We're not 13 anymore.
The cool part is that they've said, right, we want to know your honest opinion about it. Go ahead and submit this little, cover letter of why you think you should get in the game. Tell us a bit more information. Are you available from the 7th to the 9th of September? Yada, 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 yada. If you're selected to be as part of this task force, they will fly you out, they will put you up, and they will feed you.
Oh shit, fuck it. Free food? Sign me up.
And it's 2 days in Sweden. In Sweden, one of the most gorgeous countries in the world, which
I do love Sweden.
I've never been to Sweden, so that would be killing two birds with one stone. So of course your boy signed up for it, and I have effectively cleared my schedule for whatever it was, because if I get selected, I don't need any hang-ups. I need to take care of business because man's going to Sweden. So I've put my name in the hat. Hopefully I get selected. We'll see how it goes down. I've told them my honest opinion about the game. I think it's great. I think it's great that they've made that conscious decision to go ahead and delay any future DLC stuff and then dedicate time to making real refinements on what the game doesn't do as well as it should do. I'm glad that they're pulling in people from outside. I personally saw it as an opportunity to go ahead and tie it into what I'm going to be going back to university to study. So it just felt like something that I need to be there. So shout out to Ubisoft for that. The other interesting bit of news that is, as I say, it's dual-pronged because it's, again, part of the whole MMO thing. It's been announced 6 hours ago that EVE Online is going free in November.
Why the fuck did I just fucking pay for a month for? Jesus. Oh!
Good news for some, bad for others.
I fucking hate my life.
Yes, CCP has announced that there's plans for a major feature, which is currently in development, and it will make the game available to play for free for the first time ever. Now, this is significant for EVE, but not if you had a PS3 and you played Dust 514. Dust 514 was great because it was all part of the same universe. Basically, whatever the kids were doing in space, you were doing on the planet below or the moon below or whatever, and it was all tying into the factions and whatnot. So they've basically said that after 13 years of paying a monthly subscription, but paying monthly has also been the number one reason why players cancel, according to the developer, they decided that they're going to acquiesce, and they've made it free. As of November, with a new feature called Clone States, it will be free.
Good for them.
All characters will be divided into two clone states, Omega and Alpha. Omega clones will work similarly to the current characters with unlimited access to skill progressions and rapid skill training. Alpha clones, on the other hand, will be able to train and use a specific set of skills to some of the available ships into battle, such as tech frigates, destroyers and cruisers, And alpha clones will become the new base state for all characters and progress at a slower rate. So,
this just makes the game more complicated than it already is.
While they have offered a free tier, it's not free, it's freemium. So, take it or leave it, really. I mean, I think it'll work out better for them. The ones that are dedicated will keep their subscriptions. Nothing will change for them. The ones that want to go ahead and try it and want to continue to keep playing can do, but you're going to need to put some work in. And what I've seen people do with, free characters in freemium games like Warframe, for example, what I've seen people do beggars belief. So it depends on how much time you're going to sink into this thing. So, and with Eve, you're going to sink a bit of time into it.
Mate, you can sink a bit of time into it and do your taxes and everything else in the world. You can live a life and then come back and you're still
I'm surprised that people who play EVE Online aren't economists, because there's pretty much all they need is just to take an economy course. If they take if they take like a macro and a macro and a what's the other one?
I have no idea.
There's micro. So micro and macro economic course at their nearest, open university style, or if they want to do part-time at a university. Mate, with the spreadsheets that they're running, I'm surprised that they're not on fucking on BBC telling us forecasts and shit, like working under the Bank of England and all that sort of nonsense, because the numbers that they crunch is ridiculous. And they said that maths don't matter in video games, but they do in this one.
Wow.
They do.
They do.
God, they do. And there's also a bit low-key, a bit of programming to it, because if you're making macros in your spreadsheets for the amount of numbers that you have to crunch, that is a very fundamental skill. The amount of project managers and shit that are doing that, all sorts, they live and die by Excel spreadsheets. The amount of spreadsheets that I've had to back up in service and IT jobs that I've got is just ridiculous. But that's beside the point. And how people freak out when they've gone missing, when really they just accidentally dragged and dropped it into another folder. That's always fun.
God, it's giving me anxiety thinking about it.
So yeah, those are the good times. We've already been over the bad times, and that is going to bring an end to that segment. So we slide right into the meat, going into the kitchen. Slippery slope zone. This week, I'm going to talk about a couple things.
Go for it.
So we started talking about
Go on.
We started talking about the whole refund thing for No Man's Sky, and I touched on this with a really good friend of mine. His name's David. Shout out to David. But we touched on this. And we were talking about this before the whole refund thing went big, and we were talking about how people felt like they're making a case for false advertisement and all that sort of stuff, which to me is a slippery slope in and of itself, because everyone's always saying that, well, you said you were going to put this in the game and you didn't. And then someone can turn around and quite rightly say, well, they didn't say that, so we don't know where you got that from. But they're still complaining that you should give them their money back, and they're still asserting that you falsely advertise your product to them. No Man's Sky is definitely in that vein, because while there are people who thought, you know what, I played this for a couple of hours, I'm not feeling it, and you're returning it, fine, no gripes. Then news broke, although I don't think this is actually accurate. I can't actually believe that people got a refund after playing the game for more than 20 hours. Can't see it. I can't see it, because it's quite literally there in Valve's refund policy. Either you had owned the game for a certain amount of time and not played it, and you got that window, or you played it for more than 2 hours and your refund will be denied. That's pretty much the policy.
I mean, judging from what I've seen and from personal experience, So my friend, he played it. Shout out to Brian. I know he's listening. He played for 8-9 hours, and here's the thing. I bought his copy, and in order to refund that, normally they don't allow refunds on things that you've gifted to people. As soon as they've accepted the gift, it's over.
It's over.
Yeah, you can't take that back. However, he was able to go into his settings, like into his Steam account, into where the transactions come in. He was allowed access to technically send it back to me, but allow me to. There was an option to allow the original buyer to refund it. To which, as soon as he did that, I said cool, and then I went into my Steam account and refunded it, as in the gift to Brian.
Right.
And then I went and did mine. Went to refund my copy of it, and I played for 14 hours, so a little bit longer, but not as long as most other people have been playing. His came through like instantaneously. However, I did take Steam credit rather than straight back to card, and with my refund, I asked for it to go straight to back to my card instead of a Steam credit. And the Steam credit came through pretty much instantaneously. There was a buffer for 24 hours, so you have to wait before you can actually have access to it. It's technically pending. And then I got an email for my refund for my copy of the game, and it said, you've played more than 2 hours, you can't. However, we've seen, there's plenty of screenshots, and whether they're real or not, where people have been playing for 20 hours or whatever and got their refunds. It hasn't worked for everyone, hasn't worked, but has worked for some, which is interesting to say the least.
Okay. So that's interesting. But I do believe that there was a bit of somebody had claimed that they'd no, it wasn't somebody who claimed it. I can't all I know is that his @ on Twitter is still Grey, I think is what his name is. Let me double check that. Yes, it is. Okay. So he's an interesting character, to say the least. Does my nut in most days, but he basically said that he was definitely taking the side of saying that, yep, if you want to go ahead and refund it, doesn't matter if you played it for 100 hours, you should be able to take it back. Is that not taking the entire piss? Because for me, you can't do that with literally anything else. But gamers feel entitled to play a game for 100 hours and then return it and get a full refund for it? Nah. You can't wear... That would be like me running 100 miles in a pair of Adidas running shoes and taking it back to Adidas saying that, you know what, don't like them, I want my money back. I just ran 100 miles in them motherfuckers. Adidas will look at me like I'm dumb and tell me to go out and get out of the shop. Like, get out. First they'll laugh, then they'll tell me to get out of the shop. Like, that's what's going to happen. Okay?
However, the counterpoint to that is this is a digital product.
Okay. So
whereas the Adidas shoes are a physical product, where there is no wear and tear to the product, and it is purely based on a person's level of enjoyment and experience. That's
where things get interesting. Now, somebody who I follow on Twitter pointed this out, and I 100% agree with them, primarily because he harkened back to his days in customer service and retail and all that sort of stuff. I see it for the whole digital product, but that's merely stating the obvious. There is no wear and tear to the product, but you did play the game for an extended amount of time. Why do you need 100 hours to decide whether or not you like this game or not? That is really taking liberties. If you really don't like the game and you're playing the game and you're still playing the game for 100 hours and you then decide... That is so disingenuous, it's not even funny.
In this particular case, yeah. That is very disingenuous. That is a whole level of taking the piss. Which is... but then again, this is an extreme case.
Okay, so if
whereas the thing with No Man's Sky is you the first hour or so is a very enjoyable experience. That's probably the best hour, in my personal opinion, of the game. Because that's the point in time where, you know, you finally get to that fucking block of Iridium and start getting that shit to fix your ship. And then you can start exploring at that point. But it does take a couple of hours to get to that point and you're ready to fly out.
I don't know, man.
Because I mean, Steam's policy is 2 hours.
2 hours.
Right.
That is generous.
However, exactly. However, I mean, I'd say it's safe to say that the majority of games, within 2 hours, you'll be able to get a full understanding of what the mechanics are and what you're going to be expecting. So, for example, if we go with, say, Assassin's Creed, within the first 15-20 minutes, you'll get a bit of the story. You will be told how to move around, so, you know, left analog stick, WASD, whatever. You'll be told how to jump, how to move through this bit, how to attack, how to kill, how to defend yourself, and how to interact with objects on the very base level, which is what the tutorial's for. And that will take you 15 to 45 minutes, right? Just basic game design, really. And that is, you know, and that's pretty much the same in pretty much every game. It'll give you a feel for all the mechanics and how they play in the game, and that'll be done in the first hour. And then the second hour of the game, you will start progressing forward. So maybe leveling up a couple of times if you're in an RPG, or if, say, you're, I don't know, like a game like Overwatch, you'll level up to like level 5 after 2 hours, and, you know, you finally get an understanding of, okay, these characters that I've played so far, pretty good.
Okay.
You know, and now there's a whole ocean more content that you can play for, but it's at that point where you can decide for yourself, you know what, I want to keep this. Obviously Overwatch is not on Steam and whatnot, but I'm giving an example of how a game plays out to a user. So that's the user experience. However, with No Man's Sky, it takes, you know, hour and a half to 2 hours just to get to the point where you have fixed your ship and you're about to go into the main, you know, you've never flown the ship before, and this is the point where you actually start flying and then start exploring into a new planet. And then you're doing the same thing again, fine. Besides the fact that, you know, whatever criticism of the game that you have, you do not get a full view of what the game offers within those first 2 hours. Because in its own selling point, everything is procedurally generated. Everything is, you know, unique and whatnot, right? So consider this. I mean, like, look at it from a new player's point of view. You've bought the game, gone in. So if you're on the PS4 or the PC, you've installed the game. You launch in. You're at your ship. All right. You're trying to figure out how to control. There's no tutorial, so it doesn't tell you how to do anything. Fine, cool. It's part of the experience. So you spend 5, 10, 20 minutes working out how to use the controller or your keyboard or whatever, because you've been sold this game, whatever. You go through all of that, then you go and you see your ship and you jump in the ship, and it's saying, can't do shit, you got to get your thruster sorted, you got to get your landing gear sorted, you got to get some carite sheets and some iridium, and you need some zinc and iron or whatever to do all that, right? It doesn't tell you how to craft, doesn't tell you how to do this. You got to sit there and work it out. Not everyone is as adept at video games as you and I are, where we can work it out, you know, within a matter of seconds or minutes, because we do this all the fucking time. And anyone listening is an enthusiast, and we do this all the fucking time, so we know what we're doing. However, regular person, regular Joe, who has been told that all of this and has been sold the dream, comes to this point and is like, what the fuck am I doing? I don't know what I'm doing. And then they finally work it out, and then like, okay, cool, I got to find iridium. They fix their scanner eventually and worked out, okay, now I can see where the fucking iridium is. It's 5 minutes away. It's always 5 minutes, by the way. I've watched a lot of Let's Plays. It's exactly 5 minutes away every fucking time. Alright. I don't know if that's good game design or bad game design, considering that everything's procedurally generated, but we're not going to talk about that. Point is, it takes you 5 minutes of walking and to get to the iridium spot. That big fucking block. But on the way, you'll obviously see animals, you'll see plants, and you'll see trees, and you'll see rocks, and you can scan all those, and then you start discovering the other bits, right? It'll take you a while to get there because you'll start getting sidetracked by little things here and there. You may even find a waypoint or a shelter or, you know, a knowledge stone or whatever. You'll find these other things along your way, and you'll get distracted and whatnot. By that point, an hour's gone by, Now you got to mine this fucking thing, which is going to take fucking forever to get enough of that. Then you got to trek all the way fucking back to your ship. You'll probably get distracted again because you'll go around in a long ass circle because you'll see, oh, okay, I've scanned and there's a waypoint over there. May as well get that. You get back to your ship, you fix a couple of things, right? And 2 hours have gone by, and now you're flying off, and you're like, okay, cool. I've gone through atmosphere. This is a cool experience. I like this. Now I want to go, and you see there's a planet, 5 minutes away. Turn on your pulse engine. You get there in 30 seconds. You land, all right, and you see this whole different planet, which is the direct opposite of what you've just been to. All right, so you were once on a green planet. Now you're on a purple planet. All right. Then you start seeing the problems, or the things that you start feeling a bit off. I.e., the plants and the animals are. You can see where the things have been like reattached to each other, like the Lego bricks, where the head of a fucking deer and the body of an alligator or whatever are standing on 2 legs and whatnot, and all the little bits and parts of the plant and whatnot. You start seeing all of this happen, and not just that. Obviously, when you're the first time you go into space, you're then told to go to the station, start trading or whatever, meeting the aliens and all this shit. You start seeing all this stuff, and you're like, okay, we've already gone past the 2-hour point, and now there's a whole universe to explore. And then you're like, okay, cool. But then you get to the point where everything starts to repeat itself, and you're like, wait, hold the fuck up. I thought there was going to be more to this. I was told there was going to be more to this. From everything that I've heard so far, I thought there was going to be more to this. But everything that was done in the first 3 hours I've played, I've done, and now I can't get a refund on it, which is the exact feeling that I had, which was, I've done all of this, right? It took me a while because there's no way, nothing telling me, okay, do this in order to do this, craft this, fucking fix this, this is how you do, this is how you fly, these are the rules, go. All right, they give you that, this game has this whole experience where you have to discover for yourself. That is the point of the game, to discover. However, to discover the very base level mechanics of everything, which is the flying, the exploration, the scanning, the mining, minor levels of combat with the drones and whatnot, and the trading, that takes up more than the time that Steam allows you to qualify for a refund.
Okay.
Which is why I think the people who have played for 14 hours and been like, you know what, fucking hell, I've wasted £40 on this game, are allowed to get their refunds. Which is, it's a very rare case. However, obviously, when you get to players like who have played for 100 hours and they're doing it for the shits and giggles because they're fuckboys, obviously, yeah. But the real question is, where is the line?
The line is where the line is where it ends. I don't think any special exceptions should be made for No Man's Sky. I don't think the argument holds weight, because at the end of the day, right, when you set a precedent like that, then it becomes harder to draw the line for any other title of that making. How is it, the same argument can be made then for games like Elite Dangerous, and probably has at some point by some fuckwit who thinks that they can go ahead and play something like Elite Dangerous for 20 hours and then go ahead and cash it back in. I don't see it for you, sir.
Something like Elite Dangerous.
It is.
You know what you're getting with that game.
Well, that's the thing, though. Some people might be put off by how long it's taken them to master how to fly. Some didn't realize that they needed to get a flight stick in order to make sure that you're able to circumnavigate the universe and pilot your ship properly. You can make the same. I'm sure you can make the same thing for the same case for a Star Citizen. Suppose you throw down on a big ship, right, like one of the expensive tiers or things like that.
Yeah.
And it's not to your liking after 2.5 hours. No, I don't think you should be able to go and take that back. The thing about it is, right, is that this does not apply. This definitely on a case-by-case basis. But I do think so far, not even No Man's Sky should be given a special exception where Valve's policy is concerned. I just don't see it. Because the reason why is that when you buy a game like No Man's Sky, like Elite Dangerous, like Lego Worlds even, you know what you're dealing with before you actually deal with it. The whole proposition and the whole part of the price of admission is that you are going to take a gamble here do you still want to buy this game?
Well, I mean, that's the thing, though. So, the fault then lies within the publishers, the developers, and the media.
Does it though?
But, I mean, if we look at it like this, right? Again, average Joe, they've got a life of their own. They're not, gaming enthusiasts. They're just seeing this massive advertising campaign on No Man's Sky.
Uh-huh.
They Google it and they see articles on all these websites.
Sure.
And YouTube videos. You've got fucking IGN getting exclusive coverage. You've got GameSpot.
Yeah.
You've got fucking Kotaku and Polygon and every other website, obviously hyping it to its extraordinary levels.
Sure.
And it's getting levels of hype that only Activision can buy.
True. But they've gotten away with so much. And this is...
Oh, yeah, but I mean... But Activision is arguably the biggest game publisher in the world. They have Blizzard. And they have Activision. And the only games they really need to put out are World of Warcraft, Call of Duty, and Overwatch. There you go. That's 10 years right there. That's 10 years of games. That's billions upon billions of dollars. And... Call of Duty every year will get the hype because it is a staple franchise in the gaming climate. We will get into a discussion about Call of Duty in another video.
Sure.
Video podcast. I've done video for so long. Yeah. So, yeah. The No Man's Sky is getting that level of hype everywhere. On YouTube, on blogs, on news websites. It's getting on BBC. It's getting on... It's getting television adverts, it's getting posters everywhere you go. This has to be something. And any detail that you do read about it, it's being, you're being sold. There's any trailer that you're watching, you're being sold something. Now, I agree with you. The refund policies should be upheld. However, when you just genuinely don't enjoy the game, should you be stuck with it?
Yes.
Okay, fair enough. But then you're being sold an indie game with a AAA, marketing budget, with AAA coverage on the media, with fucking what's his face again? Sean Murray's on fucking the Colbert Report.
Yeah. Well, not the Colbert Report, but the Stephen Colbert. He's late night with Stephen Colbert because he's late night now, isn't he?
Okay, whatever his show is, right? Yeah. Oh, I don't know. I don't watch it, but he's on that show. That's fucking mainstream. That's as mainstream as it gets.
True.
That's okay. So there has never been an indie game, Conan O'Brien.
Conan O'Brien. Yeah.
Yeah. He has his Clueless Gamer series.
Yes.
That is exclusively for the big AAA games who have given him the money to promote and sell. All right, it's a sponsored ad. That is what that section is.
Okay.
That is what it's there for. He's not going there playing Enter the Gungeon. He's not there playing Poncho. He's playing Fallout 4. He's playing Tomb Raider. Yeah. He's playing The Witcher.
Correct.
Yeah, and that's what big shots like Conan O'Brien, Stephen Colbert, anyone else who is there, because that is what their purpose is. Their purpose is to sell you this shit. That is it, and they do their job. That's what they're there for. They're not, and they're putting No Man's Sky, this game made by 15 fucking people, in that kind of spotlight. Tom, Dick, and Harry over here are sitting there watching this show. This comes on, and you're like, oh, I've seen the adverts for this. This is what everyone should be playing, and this is the big thing that you should be playing, other than the Call of Duty and the FIFA that you regularly buy every year anyway.
Okay. Or
the Uncharted, or whatever it is that you do. So, the average gamer, the literal average gamer, will buy the 3 or 4 titles a year that they've been advertised to, the big ones. They will play the big flagship games because that's what matters. That's what they're being sold at the end of the day. The Call of Duty, the FIFA, maybe Assassin's Creed if they're into that, or the console shifters, the Halos and the
established franchises, basically.
Yeah, or if not even that. The Witcher is an established franchise, but it's only The Witcher 3 that was that game. Like
The one that went, the one that got mainstream appeal, you mean?
Exactly. The Witcher 2 and the first Witcher game are not mainstream games. They're rough. The Witcher 1 especially, that's a rough game.
Yes.
That's hard to get into.
Well, I would agree with you there. But I mean,
yeah.
Here's the thing. It goes right back to what I'm saying. When you set a precedent, like, hypothetically speaking, if they set a precedent and then Valve will go ahead and take it on case-by-case basis.
Yeah.
And maybe... I don't know. It's already bad enough that gamers take the piss with the games that they do buy and keep.
Yeah.
And many a gamer will tell you that there are times where they've either known somebody or they themselves have admitted to and have therefore bragged about subverting certain things, finding loopholes that they can get what they want, right? Call it the gamer's version of lobbying, if you will, because they will basically take a policy, find a loophole, and basically try and exploit it. Hell, part of what gamers do when they play the game is to find glitches and things to exploit it so they can go ahead and boost their numbers in multiplayer and stuff and all that sort of stuff. Tried and tested practice. Now, I'm not saying you should profile gamers based off of their grievances for whatever game, and that's the reason why the policy is so watertight for me, is because you have been given a smooth 2 hours to decide whether or not this game is like that. And that is more generous than what you would usually do if they gave you a full-blown demo. Because some demos are shackled. Like, you can only play as if you're talking sports titles, you can only play a certain amount of teams. You buy the game, and then you find out that your team is not in it without doing any sort of research about what exactly what teams are going to be in it, or what leagues or anything like that. You're going to be reasonably upset, but it's not to say that you weren't told that. No Man's Sky made quite a few things clear, and yes, as we discussed last week, they walked a few things back, but you don't need more than 2 hours to discover all that. Because as evidenced by somebody who did that, they were able to go ahead and do everything on one planet. One planet. I did see that Let's Play where they basically went and what was it? They completely maxed out their ship without leaving the planet.
I mean, if that's possible on one planet, that's a bad game. That's a bad game. I will get my money back.
I don't think so. I don't think it indemnifies the game. I think that's just something that you can simply do. But that's only that ship. So, you can, get all the upgrades for your exosuit thing without leaving the planet. That might just be one of the many ways that you can go ahead and do that before, jumping into hyperspace and trying to find out where the center of the universe is. I don't think that indemnifies the game at all. But the reason why I said that is because I'm fairly certain that took more than 2 hours to do. And if you're still doing that, you're now no longer saying that you're playing this bad game because, it can't be that terrible, because you found something interesting within that sandbox for you to do, shared it with the world, and thus you've at least subconsciously accepted that you're not going to get your money back for this, even if you decide to get rid of it later. And it's not just something that I think would indemnify Valve's policy in a sense, but it also exposes just about every other digital distribution platform and those who don't have refund policies. So your Origins will be implicated, your Uplays will be implicated, Xbox Live will be implicated, or as it's now known, Xbox. That's it.
Well, I mean, personally,
and PSN for that matter. So, again, we are going to open up a can of worms that we're not going to be able to A, clean up, or B, seal again. I just don't see the point in doing that over what effectively is an indie title. And while it is absolutely the most ambitious indie title that we've seen in recent years, may I remind everybody that when majors have pulled these kind of stunts, because none of this shit is unprecedented, by the way, but when indies pulled these kind of... when majors pulled these kind of stunts, I didn't hear boo out of anybody when EA pulled some shit recently, when Activision pulled some shit annually. And I don't hear it from you kids. So, to dogpile an indie developer, criticisms that are valid remain valid, but to dogpile an indie developer when you have not only accepted this shit from majors, but you have gone back to them for more, spend more money with these companies, it's too late now to roll that precedent back. And if let me walk that back. It's not too late to walk the precedent back, but I don't think that the indie can be the straw that brought the camel's back. It's entirely disingenuous because...
Well, I mean, think about it like this. Like, I'm a very pro-consumer kind of person, right?
Right.
So, like, regardless of what, like, the developers, the publishers, and the media are always at fault with this, right? Look, at the end of the day, right, they're taking our money. That's it. So, listen, I'm slaving away all fucking day.
I'm sure.
And they're taking my money. And I am happily giving them money. You just give me what I fucking asked for, which is my entertainment. Okay, so that is my stance on it. And as a, possibly one day indie developer myself, right, I still hold the same thing, the same stance, which is you can't fuck over the customer, because the customer, at the end of the day, to develop this game is the dream. That's the dream. You're living a life of luxury here, making the damn thing that you want to make.
Well, you say it's a life of luxury, but my God, some of these...
Oh, mate, I mean, it's not like they're going out like...
Not everybody is like that fuckwit Notch, who might be living up on, Beverly Hills now because Minecraft took off, but, I mean... His path wasn't controversy free, was it? So, I mean...
regardless of that, I mean, being a games developer, that is in the upper echelon of jobs. I mean, come on. Your job is to make entertainment for people.
Yeah, which is not as glamorous as it sounds.
It's not glamorous. But
I say this as a musician.
Yeah, exactly. It's not a glamorous job.
No,
but it is a job that fucking people would kill for.
Yeah, some would. But are we this now?
Of all the jobs that you could have, you got it good.
All right,
you got it good. But I mean, the point that I wanted to make was that maybe this is the thing that breaks the camel's back, because year after year, right, we have these AAA publishers and developers giving us terrible experiences. I'm not I'm fairly lenient when it comes to like the AAA games and whatnot, because at the end of the day, I gave them my money and I have gotten X amount of entertainment from them, right? Which is what I paid for. Whatever. I'm not too fussed about that, and I'm not too fussed about the fact that No Man's Sky was a waste of my fucking money. Whatever, I'll move on. I've got other things to do. But in the global sphere of things, in the gamer world, you've got, the early 2000s where EA was pumping out shit after shit of movie tie-ins, right? And then, if we go into like the more recent debacles, right, with Ubisoft's piss poor Assassin's Creed Unity, with their ridiculous downgrade of Watch Dogs, which, by the way, I enjoyed.
Watch Dogs was like, what would have been more entertaining than Watch Dogs? Or, actually, you know what? Let me not be completely unfair. What would be more entertaining than Aiden Pierce, the main protagonist in Watch Dogs?
A dog, just dead on the floor in the game.
An actual dog.
Just watching the dog. If we had a game where you were just watching the dog, much better protagonist than fucking Aiden Pierce. But I digress, right? But Watch Dogs was, terrible fucking port
Oh god.
Whatever. All right. Whatever. But I still enjoyed the game. Like, don't get it twisted. I enjoyed what I played with that game, which was all of it. And I was like, okay, cool. Aiden Pierce is bland as shit. The downgrade was abysmal, and the fact that, the whole console parity bullshit, I don't care. I enjoyed what I got from it. And then you've got things like, Star Wars Battlefront being this fucking giant season pass. Like, you're basically paying for a demo for a season pass. That's what Battlefront was.
You're
but
wrong there.
I enjoyed what I played of that game. Okay, I enjoyed what I paid for. I didn't get the season pass, by the way. Just for the record. And then with fucking what they called again? Konami, that's the one. Konami and their fuckery.
Oh boy.
And just this constant, every other month there is just constant bullshit from publishers and developers and the media with all their crap. And, I don't want to list everything because I don't have the mental capacity to do so.
Right.
But there is just a never-ending barrage of this bullshit, right?
Okay.
Now, the one sector of the gaming world, right, that doesn't fall under this bureaucratic bullshit with all this crap is the high quality indie, because there's the high quality, there's the medium quality, and there's the low quality. Right, the low quality stuff is the shit that you see on Steam Greenlight that somehow gets through, and it's just fucking Unity assets, right? Right, fine, whatever. We don't talk about them because no one gives a shit. Digital Playground or whatever they're called, the ones that keep going after Jim Sterling or whoever. I don't care.
God, I mean,
Digital Homicide, that's the ones. Those fuckers, right? Whatever. They make some shitty Unity asset store games. Don't care, whatever. But that's that side of it. But the indies, they don't get into that kind of crap. Like your Jonathan Blows, all he does is make one fucking puzzle game every fucking 6-7 years. All right, whatever.
I still need to get
your
the
fucking.
by the way.
It's not a good game. Don't buy it.
Jesus, our mentions are going to be aflame this week.
I don't care. But yeah, then and like again, The Witness. It's it for what it is. It's good. All right. There's no fucking bullshit. There's no drama. There's no excessive amount of crap. Then you have your Super Meat Boys, right? It's just a fucking game. Yeah, got the documentary coverage with it as well. But there's no bullshit. You're not being sold something else. You're not given a broken game. You're not given something that isn't what it should be, all right?
God. But this is it.
Now,
this is the reason why I brought up Elite Dangerous. This is the reason why I brought up Elite Dangerous, and I brought up Star Citizen as well, because there were so many complaints in the early running about the game when they first released, especially when the whole Kickstarter and stuff was involved. The common denominator here is the sense of entitlement where gamers are concerned. You can call it what you want, you can couch it in whatever language. Pro-consumer, you're anti-corporation, whatever you want to call it, you're looking out for your own interests, and that's cool. But that's also obvious. So what I don't really understand is that if I can harken back to the time where the last physical release game that I bought that I absolutely loathed, that would be Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2. One of the worst games I have ever had the displeasure of playing. And I finished the entire thing. And if it were a digital title, I would not be eligible for a refund. I would just have to basically suck it up and say, you know what, I consciously took a risk here that maybe this game will improve at some point down the line. It didn't. But that's the risk that you take, and that is the risk that you take with anything that you buy. Mate, I like streaming services for music, which is great. I don't like how artists get bent over the barrel in order to, by the industry, because it's just another way for them to bend them over the barrel. But I digress. I think it's definitely consumer friendly because you can listen to somebody's entire tape at least once, especially if you consider the Bandcamp model, which I think is very solid. But you can listen to the entire tape at least once and then make a decision of whether you want to chuck some pennies at it. That's great. That's wonderful. Can't do that with games. The demo is probably as far as you will get. If you buy into early access, same thing. You know what you're dealing with. There will be some bugs. There'll be some experimental shit. It is what it is. With actual gold titles, or ones that go gold when they finally start getting pressed, right? What I think a lot of gamers I think refuse to accept is that when they bought it, it just becomes a giant case of buyer's remorse. And buyer's remorse is nice and sometimes is justified, but really and truly it is superseded by the fact that you buy something knowing that you're going to take a risk on something that might absolutely be terrible. But that is the risk that you take. You know what else is like that? Films. The only way to get around that is to either stream them or download them. Before going to the cinema house, I mean. But if there's already a physical release for it, if you buy a Blu-ray, who's still doing that? I don't know. If you're buying a Blu-ray or DVD or whatever, the thing about it is, for me, is that you can watch 30 minutes of that film, turn it off, and you take it back, and you can exchange it with something else or something like that. Some people have policies like that, and I think that's cool. That's definitely consumer friendly. I don't think it's consumer friendly when you have a policy that can be circumvented in a special case, because then it just, for me, opens up a whole litany of crap on top of the litany of crap that we already have to deal with from entitled consumers, because they're not necessarily taking it back because they're displeased with the product. A lot of people got a lot of use out of the product, then turned around and said, I'm displeased with it. Like, you couldn't buy a car, drive it for 10,000 miles, and take it back to the dealership and expect to get every ounce of your money back. You would just resell the car, surely, and then turn around and take that money and go ahead and buy something else that you want, which is yet another calculated risk that you take in a market like this. So it's all good and well kids talking about, free market and all that sort of stuff. That's the reason why we can't have certain elements in certain games, which is entirely disingenuous and has already been proven de facto to be false. You just need to put the investment into it if you want to see it succeed. Hell, if you can make Dead or Alive Extreme 3 VR sell, you can make anything sell. God damn it. And I don't want to hear shit from any of these so-called wannabe economist gamers are talking about that the reason why a game like, did you ever play a game called Wet?
No, it sounds like a shit game.
It's not, actually. So it was one of the Bethesda titles that was done in a Tarantino fashion, which had...
One of these Tarantino games, there's a problem here.
Except this one was good. Wet was fantastic. So it had a female protagonist. Her name was Ruby. She's an alcoholic, but she can basically murder everything.
Character development. I like this already.
See?
Woman with character development.
Do you see where we're going with this? You can already tell the difference between Wet and Blue Estate, and that's the reason why Wet is one of the most underrated titles in history. But again, she's an alcoholic, but she's a badass, right? She takes no shit. She's witty. She's really, really good with dual weapons. And I mean really good.
I bet she is.
Very, very good with dual weapons. Like a little bit Max Payne-y in terms of the ability to slow down time and whatnot. But there's also a big influence from Kill Bill there, and I really, really enjoyed it. Blue Estate could be this thing, but decided not to be, and that's why we'll leave it there. But the point being is that these same, pseudo gamer economists or whatever want to pontificate and wax lyrical about how certain games like that didn't sell well and therefore we should never try it again. But will then turn around and try and justify that they deserve their money back for something that they've spent an intense and considerable amount of time playing. It's not going to supersede the fact that you did not enjoy it, but you also consciously took a risk to continue playing it. And you also consciously took a risk saying, you know what, if it gets better, then it will be worth it. In this case, it did not. So you have to take the L. Like, you've got to take the L, mate. And that's the thing. I've taken so many L's. Modern Warfare 2 was an L.
Oh mate, I've taken so many fucking L's.
But that's part of the thing. That's why we appreciate the good games more, and that's why we loathe the worst games less. You know what? We don't even need to go that far back for another controversy. Everybody remembers what happened with Alien Colonial Marines. That was a big time bait and switch. And there was a shit ton of unhappy people about it. Now, when I got around to playing it, I said, okay, well, maybe the game is not unplayable like some of you dickheads are saying, but I definitely see where you're getting at. Was there a big...
Arkham Knight.
Arkham Knight, huge one. But that more is down to just a complete, total fuck-up on their part. First of all, no PC gamer is going to be happy with the fact that the thing is capped at 30 FPS. That's not great. That's not really... that's really not good. And then, of course, that's if you could get the game to run at all. Again, though, there is a strict difference there. It's not that No Man's Sky doesn't work. It's that you didn't like it. So we've breached subjectivity here. And for me, no. If you went over the 2 hours, tough tits. But you basically just went ahead and, you consciously decided, you know what, I'm not liking this so far. As opposed to stopping here, I'm going to continue to give the game a chance. There it is, my friends. You have essentially decided, great. If I've lost money on this deal, I've lost money on this deal. If I don't like the game, I'll never play it again, whatever. To now go back to the person that you bought it from, saying, hey, played this game for about 7 hours, didn't like it. So, what? I would laugh you out of my shop. Get out. And that is just me, though. So I think Valve is completely justified in reminding everybody of the refund policy and not to take the piss. But gamers always take the piss. It's all gamers ever do is take the bloody piss. I know I've had my moments, but that's beside the point. The point is that this is what we've all agreed to. Now, if we don't want to see something like this in No Man's Sky happen again, how about we remain consistent from here on out? Here's yet another opportunity to remain consistent about it. We can actually go after the majors who have made buku billions doing the exact same thing. And you went back to them with cash in hand for their next offering. Might be time for us to have a real serious think about whether it's worth dogpiling an indie. Because the ramifications for doing so for indie developers are far greater than that of a major. If No Man's Sky turns out to be a catastrophic economic failure for Hello Games, it might close their doors. Whereas something like this for an EA is water off a duck's back. Just saying. Something to bear in mind. It's not saying that the criticisms leveled at it haven't been valid. Some of them have definitely taken the piss. Actually, quite a few of them have taken the piss, but the ones that are valid do not speak the ones that are valid do not speak to a sense of the game is an entire flop technically and otherwise. It's not. The game works and there's more to be developed on top of it because it is in effect a development title. We touched on this last week, but the thing about it is that we don't want to now hold the progression of indies back to where there will definitely be a bit more added choice between AAAs and indie titles and what they're capable of doing. We don't want to stem that back just because you want your money back. There's a bigger picture here that I really think that people should consider. Now, I know there's going to be a fair few gamers who's going to be like, what the hell are you talking about? I just want my money. That's the point though. You just want what you want, but then don't turn around and complain when the industry is giving you the same regurgitated bullshit for another generation, and you're wondering what happened to all the originality and all that sort of stuff. If you want things, you got to get behind it. I know people got behind Ghostbusters, even though there were a whole bunch of people who never saw the film that said the film was wank, and therefore we should never make an all-female remake of anything else ever again. Like, dude, there have been all-male films that have been absolutely terrible. Like, what was a recent one? Actually, no, Fury was actually quite good. I liked that. I was going to say
I'm just saying,
Fury,
Ghostbusters was kind of shit, though. I'm not going to.
Which one? The first Ghostbusters weren't all that great.
No, I don't care. I'm saying the 2016 Ghostbusters, right?
Yes.
I don't care. It's all women. I mean, if they try again, cool. Do it again. I'll still go watch it. Point is, the one that I watched, fuck, boy, was that shit.
And if it's a bad film, it's a bad film. But we can't say that something is bad just because it did terribly economically. Because there have been things that have been good that have done terribly economically. And then there are things that have been bad that have done so well economically. Like sold hand over fist. Case in point, name a Justin Bieber album. But at the end of the day, this is what you deal with. It's not enough to take away from how well something does commercially. If we're gonna keep it 100, and we're talking about video games, and again, the Wii U is something that are probably going to come up a fair few times in conversations like these. You might argue that it might not have done as well as its predecessor because it didn't, but that's not to say that the console experience is bad, and it's also not to say that therefore all the things it has going for it is bad. Shit, I moved my Wii U downstairs because I wanted everybody else to kind of have a go on it. That gets far more FaceTime than any of the other consoles downstairs. And I do mean any of them. So you have to kind of take it with a pinch of salt. Just because Adele sold hand over fist with her latest album in 25 does not mean it is a better body of work than its predecessor just because it sold more. The people attach far too much to sales figures, which is the reason why we have fanboy wars, which I really wish we'd get rid of. But that's beside it.
We're a tribal kind of species. But yeah, moving on from this topic.
All right.
Check your Steam. I have just gifted to you a game. All right.
Lord.
This game, I believe, could be my contender for Game of the Year. And it's...
Is this a recent title?
Oh, yeah. It's a 2016 title.
Oh, God.
I believe that this game could be my Game of the Year. Because...
Really?
I'll tell you why, right? And the reason I gifted it to you is because I want you to play the first mission. By the way, the game is Hitman, for anyone who can't see our screens. Because obviously, this is a podcast and all. But whatever. Yeah. So, Hitman 2016.
Is this the episodic one? Yeah.
Yes. So, now, I would like to discuss this further in next week's episode.
Okay.
But Hitman, I think, has transcended into a new era of gaming, which I think could very much well work. And we'll go into that. But the reason I gifted it to you is because, one, I'm a nice guy, and two, I've only played the prologue, right? And that's when the game first came, like when it was in beta, the prologue mission that they let everyone kind of try out, test out their settings, blah, blah, blah. Mm-hmm. So I want you to play the first mission, or as many missions as you please, and however many times you want. Because I'm going to do the same. And I want to come back and discuss in next week's episode.
Well, all right. While we're on that topic, things to look forward to. Have you heard of a game called the Turing Test?
I saw it on Steam as I was buying this game for you.
All right then. Yeah, that looks interesting. The Final Station looks interesting. Live Lock looks interesting. And I'm not interested in The Witcher 3 whatsoever. So, thank you very much for your generosity. I appreciate it. Is that all 7 episodes or nah?
Well, yeah, it's all the 7 episodes. It's the full package. But obviously, like, the last 2 episodes are not out, I think. I don't know.
Look at you making it
right.
Yeah.
I mean, when they come out, they'll come out. We'll play whenever. But we'll play whatever. Definitely play the first mission. Second, if you can. But, yeah. Play it fun. But, yeah.
Right.
Wow. This has been a very long episode, guys.
It really has.
And he calls me the high priest. This guy's fucking preaching like no fucking tomorrow.
Look.
My God. I'm the high priest of the Sistine Chapel.
You
Damn.
are.
Damn, you're preaching.
Okay, well, I'm a
You're
cardinal.
on your stand.
I'm a cardinal.
Cardinal Joseph.
Cardinal Joseph. Why not? Because we're already here. I mean, well, look. At the yeah. I mean, there's.
Boy, you got a lot of shit off your chest there.
I mean, it had to be done because. I mean, what can I say? I just really feel like people have gone above and beyond the usual threshold of gamer fuckery than usual, where No Man's Sky is concerned. It has a lot to offer. There's introduced so many different ideas which are going to be lifted, and you're going to see it in a major, and everyone's going to be like, see, No Man's Sky should have done this. And they'll be like, but No Man's Sky did this. So there's a lot of nuance where it's concerned. I don't know.
Okay, stop. You're getting into the thing again. You're going on your own.
Doing it again.
You're doing it again.
I'm doing it again.
It's been like 2 hours.
Fucking sake, man. God damn it. All right. Moving on.
Okay, we're gonna cut this off before Joseph goes off into another run.
We are
about
moving.
How much he hates people who play video games.
God, I
and
hate games.
Joseph.
I hate games.
Listen.
I hate games. I hate gamers. I hate them. I hate them all.
Alright.